That's the whole final nail in the good campaign.
I don't think you would accept a necromancer with a positive opinion of the Lich King into your party.
Probably not. The Lich King isn't. I mean, he's technically the rightful ruler of this land.
Whenever Thomas said he wanted to throw his way under the bus, I didn't think we were going that far. But
next time we had like a necromancer goth club.
Goger's next character shows up and is like, "You remember that necromancer that summoned this race that killed your friend? I'm his brother.
I have come to avenge him by serving you for a while because I'm crazy like that.
I'm bipolar.
Sounds like
I really
guy
hate
we
you,
should
which
trust.
means I like you." Oh.
Can we defeat the blue and make her into a zombie dragon under the like Lich King's control?
Do we get relationship die?
You can roll those as well if you just want to surge right into that instead of thinking about how tragic events are and how you have to build from this moving forward. Sure, you can do relationship dice.
I would just like to have my options available while thinking about things.
That's very fair and reasonable. I suppose you can do that.
Like I say, one session of this downtime is going to be Leon doing.
Jesus Christ! Let's reroll one of those.
I'm going to be doing funeral rites for Fargus for a session. Like I might even create like a little like script or even like a little quick video of like just quick funeral rites because this is kind of an important moment.
It is. Yep.
I'm going to want to speak to you about this. Making this right. Like it's like respectful here. Also, over here then.
Well, you know, if Fargus did one thing, it is to show that not all druids are assholes.
Never again.
He was one of the ones that kept the attitude going that maybe we should have kept.
No, nothing. Never mind. I forgot that thing was already used. Never mind. Okay.
What was that, Gryph?
I have actually blanked. Grimith said something and my brain just went boop.
Alright.
Oh, right. No, if Fargus' thought is anything as well, it's to be more anarchistic. To live free and die hard. I mean, he got results. Unexpected, but he did get them.
You know, Dwohurim really kind of wants him back badly because he was coming over to through the other side. It was like the druid who began to lean more and more towards the Archmage and began seeing things in the light of that life is a good thing.
If it is something that's really desired that Fargus come back, that can be an adventure arc unto itself, as you find a way to get someone who knows resurrection and who can spare a casting of it to use it on Fargus.
It's limited number of times in a lifetime.
Limited number of times in the lifetime.
You know, if Dwohurim had it, he probably would spend a lifetime.
Technically, we could get it later.
You just fucking keep Fargus' bones around until
that arc is purely dependent on yourself, Goger, like how you would like to steer. Would you like Goger to be around? Because that would be a focus and I guess be a temporary character.
Fargus wouldn't be back next session.
No. I'm kind of attached to the character as well, so it would be nice to see him back, but it really depends. If that's going to take like 10 sessions to accomplish, then...
then you'd already be attached to someone else, and then it's conflicting,
What I would suggest then is ask yourself if you're satisfied with the end of the character. Are you satisfied that this was Fargus, and that was this a satisfying enough end to the story in a way? Like,
not really, no.
Like, do you feel a huge gap of sort of annoyance that there could have been something more, that they could have been more epic or more exciting?
He did die fighting the thing he hated the most, pair of reefs.
He did.
Yeah, like, do you think he had a story part that's big enough? Because I think a character death
his backstory is kind of pictures him as the chosen one, basically.
Oh. Well.
Of the Great Stag.
Mm-hmm.
But it can either be that or maybe someone taking his place. That's my idea with the contact that contacted him before. He was a member of Fargus's order and a close friend to him. So
yeah, see, that's certainly some development, but you could also branch more out.
Yeah.
If you want.
You don't actually necessarily have to be limited. It could be someone that you've not expressed, that's someone like perhaps rival to Fargus. I mean, you could really go off the rails. It's actually someone that's a rival of Fargus that actually had an oath or a blood oath, and to succeed and accomplish that, they had to complete his goals and missions and begrudgingly had to accept it because they couldn't kill Fargus, so now they have to take it on. You can be really creative with what you want to make.
Of course, it's hard to just decide, like, because 20 minutes ago it wasn't really an issue.
Yeah.
So that's of course.
Leon avenged you with double crit.
I imagine then the question would be if you want to let this story here pass into the background. Because, of course, if he was the chosen one, if there was a story there to be told, I'm sure that Grimith will not just sort of leave that to never, ever be looked upon again. It might not be our story, but the story still exists somewhere out there. We might sometimes or in some place see the repercussions of the chosen one, so to speak, dying or falling.
Yes, that story angle would be pursued. The High Druid, she's already an indelible part of this campaign, and the Great Stag, like the individual who ended up guiding Fargus to try and broker peace between the High Druid and the Empire, the individual who was selected to do this and who had faith and confidence and gifts, met an untimely end. And so, if he's not around, then the campaigns would shade also towards Fargus not being around and what that means for the Empire, for the High Druid.
Man, fuck the High Druid. Seriously.
It's
the
also
worst
a question,
icon. Jeez.
It's actually also a question of what does the party need?
Well, no, not really. It's
No.
of what would you find fun? Because Grimith will tailor the battles to fit whatever we have.
Like we've had plenty of conversations about this when you guys started off. We're like, oh, we don't have a healer, or you're like so many other things. Like, what kind of character do I want to play? Such like that. And yeah, I will. Like, I have a capable enough toolkit with battle building that I can design encounters that are equivalent to you folks. That was a match where that was actually suitable for champion tier. Slightly higher, maybe like by a decimal point, which still would have ended in it wouldn't have taken up all 3 of your battle slots. Maybe they had stuff. They were They were a party of intelligent individuals who they saw you as a threat. They thought they took care of you because you surprised them, and then that happened.
It's just the roll. Sadly, it's just the way the RNG works, or the roll of the dice works. There is some fights that we will win, hands down. That we realistically, it should have been a harder fight. That we've just boom.
Like the group came really close to a TPK in the session without you, Goger. Whenever they went to the living dungeon of Creel and they were on the bottom floor, they almost all dropped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was close. That was
I
so
warned
close.
them, like, death is on the table, and you can't flee without using the amulet, because the way will be blocked.
Yeah.
And now we would have found out we lost all our stuff down there.
I mean, all things considered, if there are combats where death is completely no option, that kind of makes it very trivial.
Yeah, of course. Characters.
Then we can just sort of basic attack our way through it.
It was a very bonding session, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the 2 weeks are there. Take some time. I know I like to tell you this most weeks, right? Take some time, think about stuff, contact one another.
And
Then it's
time
Thursday and you complain that we haven't talked to you yet.
we take all the time,
What does
except
that
we
want?
don't take it to talk to each other.
I know,
Well,
I'm never satisfied.
I'm just gonna put this here. Do you guys want to play like a little game like next week, and so we actually have something to do other than like just talking about it, and we can have little discussions and
I
share
won't be
ideas
here next
while.
week.
Well, I don't mean like on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Well,
no,
even then,
Monday through
Manaki,
Wednesday.
you're not quintessential. God.
Well, I'm at that point. I'm like 25%.
I see how.
My stock went up.
So Dwohurim ultimately considers this a net win.
So what you say though is if I eliminate Dwohurim, then my stock goes up even more.
if we
So it's just
eliminate
you and
Dwohurim, our stock goes up.
You know, that's a great idea, Tempus.
No. A brutal fight with a lot on the line. Victory, of course, meaning all of the gold, and the magic items, and the blackmail information, and derailing that process, and perhaps having clues of things that you want to pursue in the future, with failure either being a campaign loss or a TPK.
I've also sent you a message, Grimith.
God damn it, I hate messages. I mean, okay.
I'm sorry.
What do you want from me? Let me fucking read this.
But like Gryph, if nothing else, because if I do decide to go through with creating a nice little funeral scene, a good chance to talk about it would be next week. I mean,
Well, I love making characters.
depends if
One of the best things.
depends on Goger's decision on what he wants to do with his characters.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, I think a funeral would definitely be us respecting him being a druid, and we do something in the forest, like let his body be
Yeah,
devoured by wolves
I
or
would say
something.
leave town, go to the forest, or go to some hill, just surrounded by nature. Basically. Yeah.
Dwohurim didn't really want to do a funeral.
I don't know, Sheep. I don't have a positive or a negative answer to that. I'm so indecisive about that. That's something that you'd have to mention to the entire group, and have to see what their opinions of it all are on. I don't think I could give an opinion without the group on that situation.
Alright, basically, what I told Grimith in a quick message here is that I'm not exactly happy with how the commander class plays. And I think that Thomas as a character so far is an interesting contrast to the general group's, orientation. On the one hand, on the other hand, there's often times where our interests are really completely different. And with a PC dev, that is basically a significant cut in the normal flow of the campaign, meaning that it would probably also be the best time to introduce a different PC. What I've suggested to Grimith here is that since Thomas is closely associated with the Great Goat Worm, who's one of his primary features is basically the whole sacrifice thing, meaning that perhaps there could be something that takes out Thomas and brings back Fargus.
That would be pretty dark rituals.
Unless it's something we don't know about that Thomas does himself.
That's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy.
I mean,
No one would ask Thomas to do that, though.
That's something
And-
that would
And
never come
something
up.
else to consider,
The point is that would be something
metagame-wise, is that I think it's good to have differing opinions and contrast.
Yeah, I mean, I greatly appreciated the fact that there was this dark light balance during the session. That was something that's whoa.
I also think that this event can be a major story builder for all of your characters to justify whatever changes you might want to make. However, Sheep, if you are so unsatisfied with your character that you would rather play something else, there is no law or obligation forcing you to do so. I want all of us to enjoy ourselves as much as we can. I think our collective responsibility is to ensure that we all leave the table not regretting the time we spent. And my primary role I see as a facilitator rather than a storyteller, to ensure that I act like a referee and an arbitrator. Otherwise, we'd be playing cops and robbers and arguing about who shot who. If you want Thomas's story to go into narrator character abilities with the idea in mind that perhaps he would be so twisted by what transpired that his personality would shoot off into trying to find a way to do something with Fargus, we could have that be entirely narrator character. We could have that be immediately this adventure arc, which culminates in Thomas's sacrifice as you try to find a way to make it work so that it all happens in-game. I think that would be up to you. If you want to leave Thomas and, like, drop him now and, like, do something else, that's cool with me. I think it would be a better build of the story if we were to pursue the angle of Thomas having an idea and seeing an opportunity and going for the sacrifice angle, with perhaps the other player characters not realizing that's what it will cost, and then going that way at the end of an adventure arc. Or keeping Thomas in the party. And we could have... I'm just fucking rambling and talking in circles here. Thomas can go off and do his own thing narrator character-wise and try to figure out a way to bring Fargus back, which can take whoever fucking knows how long a time. Because you're on your own and your primary strength is you as players. You can work together with Thomas having a vision of something, with the final cost being something only he recognizes to bring Fargus back, and have an adventure arc with that. Or Thomas can stay in the group. Maybe Sadus will decide next week that he doesn't really want to be Fargus anymore. Or in 2 weeks, because I know that's when our session is. But, you know, people change their minds all the time. But that's not something that I can rule on without all of the players deciding or shading one way or the other, because it affects all of you more than it does me. I'm just one person.
Yeah, my reasoning basically for potentially retiring Thomas is that his character is very much related to the class he is, which is the commander, which is very much a leader class, which I'm not very good at as a player also, and I know that Manaki likes putting me on the spot saying, yes, we'll do what you say, and I'm sitting there going like, all right, well then, good. So
I don't want to take that away from me.
Yes. I mean, it's not exactly a great feeling to be put on the spot as much as you're putting me on the spot.
All right.
Having beat Durdle, I know that exact same attitude.
You know, this also, whenever Sheep does this means that you would then have no excuse not to tell him what you initially thought of his character, because his character is no longer a thing.
You still haven't told me that. I'm so salty.
You don't sound very salty.
I am so salty.
See, the thing is, for your sheet, you're just so emotionally neutral. Even when you're angry, it's just like salty. It's just like, I don't know when you're sad, angry, or happy.
Yeah, I'm not angry. Of course I'm not. Can't really force Manaki to do anything.
Is it
Damn right you can't.
Is it possible to force Manaki to do anything?
I don't know. I've never tried.
That's what the government of Denmark's about.
Sounds like a bachelor project.
No. If you know, revolving door cast dwarf characters, it's up to you folks as a group to decide like what story you want to tell. I can't make that decision for you. Or rather, I won't make that decision for you. I won't take that away. My style of campaigning, how I like to do this, has you folks make the choices which have consequences, and you try to decide what you think will be the best fit. Sheep doesn't want to be the commander-type character, then Sheep doesn't want to be the commander-type character. We'll try to build something else that works with the story. If Goger doesn't want to be Fargus, or wants to try being Fargus and then play a temporary character for a bit, we'll try to work with that too, either way. Just, we can try to work through this together. It's a somber occasion, but this, I feel, did evolve the story, and it's a quintessential part of the storytelling experience, the uncertainty of it.
It is a time where our characters are going to grow more than most other events.
Yes, the 13th Age does not encourage it, but says that failure, that's not a problem. Like, campaign losses, those are okay too, because your heroic stories are forged more in failure than they are in success.
It wouldn't be fun if we won all the time.
Nope.
Well, some people would disagree.
Yes, yeah. My heart wasn't in that when I said it.
I'm interested to see where this goes, but whatever we get, I'm totally up for trying whatever the party comes up with for
me.
Tangents.
I prioritize fun over the story. I want everyone to at least enjoy it, and if they are enjoying it, great. The story will reflect that. Well, if someone's forcing to play something they don't enjoy, it's going to reflect that too, and it's going to be stifled and it's going to be stymied. So
nobody's going to be forced to do anything.
That's that's why we're going to take the 2 weeks. Time for self as well as group reflection. Next session, which will be our 20th session, hung into this for a while. We can hit the ground. I guess about as soft or as hard as you want to hit the ground. Our final memories of Fargus will be him slamming Thomas's head into the pavement. Get up!
Maybe that's why Thomas decides that he doesn't want to actually sacrifice himself.
Oh god.
But he remembered that.
But,
he stands at the edge of the volcano. Why should I?
But this is valid justification for any of your talent changes, for folks to go multi-classing, for severe personality shifts. Like, the events that transpired in this session, particularly revolving around Thomas, that was really good storytelling, I felt, with Thomas looking up at Dwohurim and basically saying, the way that I've wanted to do things, I'm sick of it. It just keeps getting us moments like this. Mm-hmm. That was really powerful. And if you go to a new character, you lose out on that power.
If we do not have a way to revive Fargus, which of course Dwohurim would want, but I, as a player, of course, might actually think it's more interesting if he doesn't. I would likely then take Dwohurim probably in a contra place from what Thomas is going to do, which is more gritty and more dark. Dwohurim would then... He already has this a little bit, the idea of taking on the mantle of those who have sort of fallen to his side. And he would probably I'd probably change the negative Hydra relationship to a conflicted one by the attempt for Dwohurim to take on the idea that perhaps peace can be true, as Fargus certainly has shown that there are those on the Druidic side who wish to reach out to this, and it somehow seems disingenuous to leave his body and just ignore all he was.
I really like that line of thought.
I do as well, actually. I really like it because, in a way, that might have been Fargus's mission all along. You could say that, as a chosen one, maybe he wasn't meant to survive and carry through all the way, but change the world. And Dwohurim, it would certainly reflect that and carry on the torch. Exactly.
You're just one of those sort of key events in the world that you have shifted it.
That's making my eyes water. I really like that.
Oh no, Gryph, don't cry.
I imagined, having Fargus's grave on some hill or something, and the others would go, and Dwohurim would stay back a little while. Then he would plant an acorn, and then, for the first time probably, not only use his shaping powers to create something or to, shape something, but to actually, just a bit... make the acorn just grow, channeling some of the ability that he had Fargus sometimes hand to him, that he at the beginning so brutally used, but now perhaps has had a more sensitive feel towards. Also, of course, expanding that with his ranger-ish. Multi-classing abilities, of going more in line with more of being a sort of two power wizard, 1 power ranger, maybe being more of a equal sides to both these.
See, it's good that Fargus didn't die in the first session to the direwolf.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, but that's the direction I would go with Dwohurim. If we, however, bring Fargus back, he would probably not have that profound change as well. He's a character of melancholy and sadness. As a dwarf, something I'm going to invoke now anyway, is that the dwarven people have a tendency to, as long as they have gold in a great hall, they usually act like fools about it. But as soon as they lose it, they become wise. His people are people who have grown wise from loss. And those who still have power have a tendency not to appreciate what they have until they lose it. And he likely has this tendency a bit, but with the ideas instead. That the ideas of those who have been lost are probably something he keeps very dearly. If nothing else, it showed that a druid could die in a city far from the forest for a goal that had nothing to do with the High Druid. Yeah. Yeah.
I think quite a few of our characters can have quite profound changes depending on the decisions made. Who stays and who leaves. But that's something we're going to need to reflect on.
In that way, I mean, a character dying is probably never going to be a oh well situation. It's always going to have some story thing and some story impact, and the question is then if that story impact is enough of a resolution for that character's story arc.
Yeah. And that would certainly do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
See, you folks as a team are more intelligent than I am. That's why I have you guys make the story, and I'm just along for the ride.
I like how this adapted. You know, like a fight where Fargus died, and all of a sudden it's become this much more epic situation.
Death is something important.
Now, it might touch Thomas differently, and he might not be in a state where he would be continuing to work on this we're doing right now. This, of course, the fact that maybe Fargus doesn't need to be brought back wouldn't change necessarily that Sheep still has to play Thomas.
Right,
or at least play him in the same way either.
Like Thomas might strike off on his own due to the fact that this results essentially like the midlife crisis, where everything that he did and he believed in, like with his breakdown right at the end there to Dwohurim, it almost sounds like he's throwing all of that in the doubt, as if he can't, like, focus now. Now, you can develop the story around him recovering from that or expanding from it, but the story could also go in a way where he doesn't. And he no longer feels he can adventure with the party, or he goes off and does something on his own. Either for, like, retribution, or vengeance, or just for his own passion. You know, he could end up drunk in a bar for the rest of his days, unable to forget the time where he couldn't save Fargus. He could end up throwing his life into the seawall, or into something else that he's incredibly passionate about, maybe even trying to make a pilgrimage down to the abyss itself, to see the great gold worm before he goes, to see whether all of that is as true as he just thought it was not too long ago.
I would imagine, from knowing Thomas's character, of course from the outside, that when you said the seawall, that was actually the same thing I was thinking previously, that if Thomas had a breakdown, I don't think it would be to give up. I think it would be to probably, maybe not even himself realizing it, would be a sort of suicidal tendency to self-sacrifice.
Like the
throw towards the seawall, like the endless Sahagin, just, yeah.
And if you wanted to interpret that as a way where if he felt great shame or embarrassment, It could be like the Troll Slayer idea, or like the Giant Slayers or the Demon Slayers that dwarves are in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Oh.
Where he wants, like, such a suitable, like, moment for redemption that he's constantly throwing himself against impossible odds because he can't let Fargus go.
And that's the only way to dull the pain of the loss. Simply not think about it, think about the moment. Because if you don't, you die.
And it doesn't matter even if that Thomas and Fargus might not necessarily have been that close. It's the event that happened, and whatever
the last
Thomas
person under his command
attaches to it.
I was also thinking that the whole sacrificing yourself by throwing yourself in the fray is it's a little poetic, as he is the scion of the great gold worm, who very much did that.
Yes, it would be following in the footsteps of that storyline arc.